Hey guys, it's Keeley, and today I'm going to be going over my Booktubeathon Wrap Up. I absolutely crushed it this year, and I absolutely love Booktubeathon. I really hope you participated, and if you didn't, you should participate next year because it is so much fun, and it really does help you get a lot of books off your TBR, and the challenges and sprints and videos are just a lot of fun. I actually regret not doing like updates or videos this year, so next year I will for sure be vlogging every day and hopefully doing some of the challenges. But yeah, I completed all 7 reading challenges this year and I started an 8th book, so let's get on into that and we can talk about some books. The first book I read in the Booktubeathon was Happy Face by Stephen Eman. This completed the challenge, read a book with yellow on the cover, if you can tell. And anyway, this book has like illustrations in it and stuff, which are all done by Stephen Eman, the author, which is really, really cool. And this book reminded me so much of Winger by Andrew Smith, but like not in a bad way. It was like copying it, but just like the same feel and like the same like kind of vibes and stuff, which I really, really enjoyed. It's about this kid named Happy Face. That's not his real name, it's just a nickname the kids give to him, and you actually really don't know his real name. You just know him by Happy Face. And he starts out in this one school at the beginning of the book, and then something happens and you don't know what it is until later on in the story, and so he ends up switching schools, and suddenly he has all these friends which he's never had before, and they just all know him by Happy Face because he always has a happy face on, even though he's not always happy. And it's just a really good story about how sometimes people look like they're happy when they're really not, and it was really fun. The characters were really fun. I loved the writing style and how it was written. I give this one 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I have to talk about is The Invention of You by Brian Selznick. This completed the challenge to read a book that you first heard of on Booktube, and I first heard about this one from Jesse the Reader on his channel. He always talks very highly of Brian Selznick, and I can definitely see why. This is set in the 1930s in France, which is a really, really cool setting, and it's all about the film industry and how filming got started and just different like clockwork, and it's just really, really cool. And like the illustrations in here are absolutely beautiful and very intricate, and as I was reading this book it was like I was watching a movie because Brian has such a way with words and just you picture it in your head, and the illustrations really help the story go along, and it's literally like you're watching a movie, which is really awesome because this is about the film industry and stuff like that. It was really, really cool. It doesn't look like it's good for a readathon, but actually I read this book the fastest out of all of them because the illustrations really helped, so it's actually perfect for a readathon, and I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The next book is 100 Sideways Miles by Andrew Smith. This completed the challenge to read a book by one of your favorite authors, and I love Andrew Smith and want to read all of his other books that I haven't read yet, so I started with this one and it was okay. I really, really liked Winger a whole lot more. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars, and it follows this boy who is kind of eccentric, and instead of going by time, he goes by how far the earth has traveled in miles, and something happens to him when he's younger, so it causes him to be epileptic. And that part was really interesting because I've never read a story about an epileptic, and he was just really funny, and the characters were somewhat likable. They weren't like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love you, but they weren't like, I hate you. They were somewhat likable, so that's why I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. It's very hard to describe what it's about just because I honestly feel like you should go into this one blind and find out for yourself because, as you can see from the cover, it is different, and it was really interesting, and I really did enjoy it, but I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The next challenge I completed was to read a book that is older than you, and for this one I read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and this one was kind of underwhelming for me. Alice was really annoying in my opinion. Like, I'm sorry if you really like her, but to me she was just kind of annoying. But I did give this one 4 out of 5 stars because the world is very interesting, and just to think that this was written in the 1800s and people had never seen anything like this before. So it was just really cool how Lewis Carroll thought up this idea and basically started the whole otherworldly type things for us, and I did enjoy it, just not as much as I thought I did, but yeah, still enjoyable. 4 out of 5 stars. The next book was actually a reread for me, and it is a reread of my favorite book ever, and that is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. This completed the challenge to read a book to movie adaptation and then watch the adaptation, which I did. It was really interesting watching a film adaptation right after reading the book, and you know, and it's like fresh in your mind, and so you can see the differences, and there are quite a few differences, but I still love the book and movie so much. I give this one 5 out of 5 stars again. I will every single time I read it. If you don't know, it follows this boy named Ponyboy Curtis. That is his real name, and it is set in the 50s, and it's just basically a war between social classes. Ponyboy is a part of the Greasers gang, and he lives in kind of a lower class neighborhood, and they always get in fights with the Soches, which is like the higher class, you know, a kind of above the law people, and it's just like rumbles and fights and 50s and Greasers, and I absolutely love it. I want everyone to read this book so bad because it is amazing. Next book I read was The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot. This completed the challenge to read a book only after sunset, which I thought was going to be very hard for me, but I actually completed all 7 challenges in 6 days, so it really wasn't that difficult for me, and I absolutely loved this one so much. I did give it 4 out of 5 stars just because it didn't have that one factor that you know you need for 5 stars, but I really loved it. I just love The Princess Diaries so much. I remember loving this movie. I still love the movie. And it's just very interesting, and I wish this was my life and someone came and told me that I was actually a princess of a country. That would be really cool. Mia didn't like it, but I would love it. But yeah, I did love this one, and it's just very fun. The 7th and final challenge is to read 7 books, which I completed with Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. This book I did not like as much as Alice in Wonderland. I think I gave this one 2 out of 5 stars. I don't know why. It's just like the world wasn't as fun as the first time I read it. And so I just basically just read it to get through it and complete the challenge. I don't know. I just didn't really like it. I do have this really awesome bind up of the first 2. That's why I'm like holding up the same book. But yeah, I did do this one, and it completed the 7th challenge, which was really exciting. So my camera just died, so sorry if there's a little bit of an angle change. But anyway, the 8th book that I started during the Booktubeathon was Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I am only like 54 pages through, but I did start an 8th book during the Booktubeathon, which is kind of amazing for me personally. But yeah, I am enjoying this so far, but I can already tell that it's probably not going to be my favorite John Green book, but we will see. It is John Green, who I love, and David Levithan. But yeah, started this one. I will probably finish this one within the month. So I read a total of 1,868 pages during the Booktubeathon. I actually did this all in 6 days. I didn't use the 7th day because I had already completed all the challenges. So yeah, I did all this in 6 days, which I'm very proud of myself. I really hope that you had a great Booktubeathon. Let me know down below how many books you read, how many challenges you completed. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!